Hey, thank you for joining the Ed Sullivan Experience, broadcasting from our farm in Tennessee. I want to thank you for purchasing your ticket to Destination Unknown. That's right, that's the ride that's going to take you to hell and back. If you want to know about Bigfoot, you want to know about aliens, you want to know about UFOs and the paranormal, well, we got the people that have the stories and they're going to share them with you. So just sit back, enjoy the ride, keep your arms and legs in the vehicle at all times. Before you run out the ride screaming, please make sure the ride comes to a complete stop. So let's get the Ed Sullivan Experience started. Let's do this now. Hey, everybody. I want to thank you for joining the Ed Sullivan Experience. Have really excited to have this guest on here today. He's actually my first international guest. He's in the UK right now, so that's fantastic. His name is Lee Taylor, and he's the co-host of a podcast called Never a Straight Answer.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the one.
There you go. I love it. I love advertising. I know when I first saw your thing and it said NASA, I was like, oh, how did he get away with that? And then I saw your podcast and I was like, that's how he got away with it. So
yeah, because it used to be that they used to call when they were questioning NASA, they never used to give a straight answer. So it always used to be never a straight answer. So we thought it's a good idea for actually what we do.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So thanks for joining me on this show today.
More than welcome.
So go ahead and give us a little breakdown of the premise of your show.
Well, what we do is we start up, have a little conversation on what we've done for the last couple of days. So, a little bit, 5-10 minutes to just show that, we've been doing this, we've been doing that. Then we will have a story for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, a discussion, or sometimes even a guest. We bring on discussing about their books or discussing about what they've been into, like DNA and stuff like that. Then we will do a news bite where me and my co-host Gaz will have done over the week. We'll have done little searches of little funny and serious stuff that's been going on around the world that sometimes isn't common, because that's where I like to, if it's not being put on the media as normal standard and it's an important event that's just happened, then I like to bring it in and make sure people can be up to date on maybe a certain laws changed and I found out about a certain law and it's not really been thrown around. Then I try and find the information about it and then try and pass it on to the public so the public can actually advance and find out that about the law, basically, or whatever this thing is.
Do you just do that for the UK or do you do it for everywhere?
Worldwide? Yeah, we're on all platforms. We're everywhere. We have stuff that people can come and buy as well, like cups, hats, or Patreon. You can become a Patreon. We have like 3 stages on that, or buying a coffee, or donating anything
to support the show.
Yeah.
And so what we'll do is we'll put the links here on the bottom of the YouTube page, and
great.
We'll also, in the audio, we'll also put them in there so that anybody who wants to help support your show or subscribe to your show,
fantastic.
They can go and do that. So one of the biggest reasons I wanted to have you on this show was I was reading your bio, and you have been researching UFOs and aliens for like 35 years. Is that correct?
Yeah. You won't believe it, would you? I'm not old. But it really interested me at a younger age that basically I was questioning why answers weren't being answered to the questions that people that were coming up, but it was the odd thing, because UFOs wasn't mainstream as it is now.
Right.
It was like that little bit in the corner that there's that little weirdo. Kind of, they're the weird people and stuff like that. But then I was into sci-fi, so sort of got me asking certain questions to myself.
Do you find it hard today, doing your show, to still find guests that will come on and actually tell their stories? Because that's the biggest part I'm having an issue, is trying to find people that actually tell their stories. Because like you said earlier, when you started doing this, people, they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be called that weirdo that saw the UFO or the alien. So
exactly. Look, I'm just glad we've gone into the state of there's more and more people asking that question. I think because more and more people have spotted something, or they know someone who's had an experience, even if it's just a ghost experience, it's still a question of, well, what is it?
Well, and that's what I'm learning as I'm doing my show here. I don't have as many shows as you do, but I'm learning from the. I'm going to get there, I hope. But I'm learning from the guests that I bring in that it seems like a lot of the UFO, the alien, the Bigfoot, the paranormal seem to all intertwine. So it makes me wonder: are these? Are aliens, is Bigfoot an alien? Do spirits and ghosts that we see, are those part of aliens? So,
well, or multi-dimensional, it's been said, or even possibly time travel, that they've time traveled through, but they just can't get through that far, that they can only do so much. And that's why you just see like the shadow of it, and probably like a spirit of like they've got maybe a little bit of power to move something. There's a possibility on that, on the dimensions. There's so many different areas that it could be that. Now it's even better because there's a lot more people going out there and actually going, you know what? Yeah, let's get these devices. Let's go and see ourselves. And it's great. It's really wonderful to see, to be honest.
Exactly. I had a psychic medium on my show a couple episodes ago, and she actually can talk to spirits and stuff, and she actually can talk to aliens. So she actually spoke to some. So I was really, the hair on my arms was standing up after that show. So
I bet.
So I wanted to get your opinion on that. What the guests that you interview, are you getting guests that are able to speak to aliens, or they're channeling or anything like that?
Well, I'd like to get guests who actually experienced it. We haven't actually had one yet, because I still think like some people like it's still in the old days where it's like, oh, you're simple, you're out of your mind on all this.
People just don't believe it sometimes.
But it's those who come out with the books that bring the story forward, that some of them have had instances. A lot of people cite, but still have that question. And that's basically what's in the books, and that, like, this is what happened to me, and I want to know what's going on. I found this little bit out, but it's still not, connecting together. And it takes a long time to get information on one little thing. And that it's getting easier, but then we're getting more falsification as well of the what's coming out.
And that's the hardest part, is because it's so easy to make it to fake it now. It's so easy with the technology that we have. It's so easy. Some of the pictures I've seen on Facebook and stuff like that, and you're like, wow, that's fantastic. And then you go, that's not real.
I'd say from my own experience and learning, from about 94 onwards, it can be less trusting, because the digital age of, we can do this, we can make it look like this, and it's come a lot better effective to put hoax out by that time. So when I was doing it in the younger years, I was basically trying to collect as much information as possible, work it out myself on what I believed, what I didn't, what was joined together, and then as the future carries on, I can collect little bits of information here and there and go, actually, no. that happened at this time, or that didn't happen from what I understand about it, because there's something that's evidence to me to say, no, that can't be. But I never throw it away. I never throw that information away because because of the disinformation and that. It could be actually true, and that actually I'm reading the front page. Well, I really should be looking at the little articles in the corner.
Yep, the little fine print.
Yeah, so if you keep them both, but you keep them both separated, you know your own idea of where the answers are, then you can, I find it, I can ask the better questions to get the results that I want at the end of it, hopefully.
Right. So you started this, you said, in 94? Is that when you started?
Well, no, I started this when it was around about 10, to be honest. So I'd say about 84. Yeah. Yeah, that's when I got my inquisitive side of myself, and I was like, well, why aren't they asking these questions? Why am I reading this book and it's saying this, and this? If it's true, then why aren't I seeing it? And just little questions from there, and then it just went on from there because I was more of an observer till I was about 14 or something like that. I looked to see how things work before I actually go in and put myself forward and go, right, this is it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I could be wrong at certain points, but today I would say majority of what I've learned, that there is something there, and it's been hidden on a bigger length than just the government. It's the ones behind the government, or the governments don't know or don't want to know. They just want to put it away. I mean, it's like objects from museums. Lots of it are in the back. Now, a lot of questions could be answered through going through all the stuff from the past that we can actually examine.
Yeah, I believe that too. I personally would love to go into the Vatican archives.
Oh, yeah.
And see what they have, because I will guarantee you,
blow your mind.
Yeah, that they know some stuff that we'd be like, what?
Yeah.
So.
Oh yes, definitely.
To me, that would be ideal. So.
Yeah.
So you started investigating.
Well, I started looking into it. I just like read articles. I used to get magazines and stuff like that to see what actual reporters who've actually gone out and seen what they've come up with. Okay. And then as time goes on, you work out things like, well, that report was actually wrong. He might have been right in the instance of a little bit of it, but he went off on a different tangent and we went like, no, it's not. Where in the future, someone else or a little bit of documents come through and it's gone and it's put a name to a place and that, and it's like, well, yeah, it more connects really than you've just gone off that way. Well, that was, I suppose, what the people who are hiding it want you to do. But if you just hold on to that little bit of information, just keep hold of it, and there will be somewhere along the lines, there will be something that will come along.
Yep, that's all right. You're back though.
Yeah,
and that's what we have when we do a show like this. So
Sam up there.
Exactly.
They're watching.
Aliens. They don't want you to talk about this.
No. Yeah, nowadays it's more. They want to promote it more, but I don't think they still want to talk about it.
Oh, I don't either. And that's why I wanted to ask you, because you are in the UK. Where? I'm
in Manchester. Around
Manchester. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny because I was born in Manchester, New Hampshire.
All right. So. Yeah.
But yeah, that's weird. So, do you think the government? We were talking about the government and hiding, and I truly believe that the government has way more information than what they've been leaking. Everything. So, do you think would that be the same with the UK government as well?
Yeah, we used to have. There's a guy called Nick Pope who's on the circuit, who's done a lot of things, and he used to be the actual X-Files man in the MOD, Ministry of Defence. Now, after he left, because he actually tells a story of in Scotland, a couple of people had taken a really good photo of a UFO going behind a mountain. So he had it, like on X-Files when Fox Mulder had that "They Are Here," that poster and the back of the UFO. Yeah, that's well, he had that, and he actually had to take it down. His boss actually came in and told him he had to take it down. So he got him. Well, because it looks like that it's a good piece of evidence. It was that good, the picture. It looks like that it's a really good piece of evidence, and they don't want you showing all that evidence. And if you already got it there,
right?
You know what I mean? They don't want you having it. So when he left, he because he wasn't a believer, but then when he left, he started looking, because he'd gone all through the files, and it's like, say 1% out of all the information he's found, but it's still that 1%. You know what I mean? You still need the answer to that 1%, and that 1% could be important, or it might not be important, but it seems to be important for the government to try and hide that 1%.
Do you think there's a secret part of the government that's worldwide? I mean, not just for the U.S., not just for UK, but because these experiences, they're not isolated to just the United States or just UK or Russia or anything. So,
Brazil is a really good example. Brazil is a really good example. The amount of stories that come out there, and like little creatures running around, and even I want to look into it. I haven't checked a lot into it yet, but it is something I'm looking at doing. There's an island off the side of Brazil, and apparently there was a shootout with alien ships. Apparently they come across, shot at the village, and then went off. Now that was one of the first ones I've actually heard of where they actually attacked.
The aliens attacked, or we attacked?
The aliens attacked a village for some reason. So it makes me think, well, one, why are you attacking that village? There must be something there to prompt it.
A resource or something.
Yeah, or even maybe a big craft that's crashed. I mean, it's the same as I got questioned about how did what was like the first big case I was looking into. And it's the big one of 1947 of Roswell, which everyone must know about now. Yes. Oh, yes. And it's
Area
that
51.
one. I constantly keep updating myself on the information, because the information that was put back there to now is slightly different. There's slight things like certain names, and then certain things that come up that, like, because a lot of them were threatened afterwards that if they spoke, then they will go disappearing into the desert. But it doesn't seem to be that now. It doesn't seem to be the person they're threatening. They're threatening the family, so it hurts you more.
Exactly.
To stop. Yeah, but deathbeds is a really good one for like Roswell.
Yeah, and right now, though, I have to believe that there's nothing in Roswell. If you were to go there now, you would find nothing.
Yeah. Although
they have moved everything.
Yeah, although have you heard of the Roswell Stone?
Heard what?
The Roswell Stone.
I have not.
There was a farmer, I believe, looks in that kind of general area, because if you're passing it, I would imagine a lot of people went like, well, let's see if there's like something there, a little bit something there. And he found this stone, but it's got its own magnetic force around it. And it's a strange little stone with I think the symbol was like a circle. Have you ever seen in Sweden, I think it was about 2010, where they said that it was a rocket that went up into the sky, and all of a sudden you see a swirl of blue swirl, and it looks like a portal opening. It was sort of looked like that.
Yep. And that's what the rock looked like?
Yeah, well, it was a normal rock, but the stamp on it seemed to look like that, and it had its own forces, and it been checked out, and it seems to have different elements in it as well. So I don't think it was. It looks like it's either created or left here, because it is a weird little stone.
I'm definitely going to be looking that up now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem, no problem.
Yeah, this
I've
is
got
why I do
loads
this
of
show.
little, got
This is
loads of
exactly
little
why.
bites on that.
Yeah. So we were talking about the governments and the secret. There's got to be some secret society.
Majestic
or something.
12.
Majestic 12, is that the name of it?
Well, they were supposed to be the ones who were in charge. They were given the reins to be in charge of it, and there was like a couple of generals, couple of rich people, couple of corporations, couple of writers,
No
couple
presidents.
of people. No president, no, but the president. But this was the funny thing, that when it was set up to try and find the answers to these questions. But after a year, they all had been changed. All the people who were there had been changed. I think it was it Buffett? I think Buffett was involved, and he made the decision to change all the people around the table, which was a little strange to me. I thought one or two maybe that like they didn't understand, or they didn't want to get into it, or they or someone else better along the lines would have come along. But all 12 disappeared, and then it all went really quiet about them, because it was only because of a handbook that come out that actually Majestic 12 was there, because I got when the internet first started in the 90s. I went to college, and I thought, yeah, let's see what CIA, see what it brings up. UFOs, let's see what it brings up. And then I think I can't remember the exact words I put something in, and all of a sudden this paper come up. And do you know about Bob Lazar?
Yes.
It was something to do with him. Because at the back it says like, don't tell governments anything. This is my defamation of what I've seen, I've understood, and stuff like this. And it went into stuff like Star Wars, Roswell, the beginning of Roswell, Area 51, code names, Majestic, and I've sort of kept that like my little Bible, because it's like, right, well, let's have a look through. Let's see if that actually, more information comes later on about it.
Right.
And on quite a lot of them, it does include, especially the special projects and that, like moon dust and stuff like that. And it was like, really? So it sort of clarifies to me that the information that this person was giving at the time was not false, and I should really more understand on what's on the page back then than what is put now, because it's hidden, or it tries and sways you into a different area by just adding a couple of sentences just to move you away from the actual area that you should be looking at.
Right. So why do you think the government does not want us to know?
Well, it's funny actually, because I've been saying this for the last couple of days. Over the last 5-6 years, now we've got this conflict going over in Ukraine with Russia. Now, right. About 5-6 years, about 3 times I think he's turned around and said, Putin has actually supposedly turned around and said, look, you stop these sanctions, you stop this, you stop that, or I'm going to come out and tell the public about aliens. I'm going to show them the evidence. And by doing that, by telling the people that your governments have been lying to you and heavily, deeply lying to you, you're going to turn on them. He could rule the world with him. You know what I mean? And if he has got it, then drop it. I can't wait. I can't wait for him to drop it.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Well, but the majority of people already believe the government lies to us anyway. So, I mean, that would not be a surprise. It would not be a surprise to me if he dropped all this stuff out, because one of the things is, what I look at is how far our technology has advanced. Okay. We didn't just all of a sudden go from 8 tracks to downloading music.
Yeah.
You know,
it was the transistor. Like the transistor in the 60s was the one that started our development. But do you know who Bill Rich is?
No,
he used to be the second CEO of Skunk Works for Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, I used to work for Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, did you?
I did. I did that for 17 years. I worked at Cape Canaveral Air Force Base for 17 years.
I see. Oh,
Titan
yeah, we're
going
to have a little private conversation again.
Yeah, we will.
But Bill Rich actually, on his deathbed and just beforehand, stated that we are 400 years in advance of what we know about. And every year we gain computer power of like 2%, which back then was, but now it's more like 4%. But the military every year was getting 40%. So then that means if that is so true, then that means we are already out in the stars. We already probably conquered Mars, the moon, which information coming through from stuff like Project, what's it called now? Solar Warden. There's a project called Solar Warden, and supposedly it's kind of like a time travel kind of thing. I heard about it years ago and I thought it was a bit funny. This, I think it's more like a story than it is than actual truth. But then as time's gone on, there's more and more bits of information out. And basically what it was is a 10-year-old boy in his room. Mum comes in, kisses him goodnight, shuts the door. As soon as the door shuts, white light goes round it, door opens, a man walks in. The man takes the child and basically takes him to the moon, where they trained for 20 years for a war. So they train, then they get sent to Mars, then they come back from Mars for all that period, then come back to the room, lie on the bed, they're that 10-year-old, as soon as the door shuts, that 10-year-old, they're still that 10-year-old. But as time goes on, things are coming through. They feel old. They feel like, they've done 20 years of work here. And then they're getting like little flashbacks and little things like that. Now, I believe it, but I believe there's probably less or more to it. But there's information to state and to say that it's possibly true. But then if that's possibly true, then they know about how to deal with time. And if they know how to deal with time, I could say something and it would never come out. Because they will be able to stop it. Which is a freaky kind of thing. And it's like, well, war, really? Have we had war on Mars and stuff like this? Because apparently we're at war now. Apparently.
With
certain species. Because there was also stories of old submarines. A couple of old submarines was built to actually work as ships. And it was to help the Greys attack a meteorite in our solar system that had supposedly had the enemy aliens on there. And apparently we had victory. We got there and had and done victory in 1971, I believe it was.
Well, you've heard of Dulce, New Mexico,
yeah,
correct?
Yeah, the 7 levels.
Yes.
I wouldn't like to go to the bottom one. Oh no.
I had a woman on my show whose husband, he's in prison, but whose husband was part of that.
Right.
So, and I would love to talk to him. I'm going to have her back on the show, but it's just amazing that, and I asked her those questions of, okay, so how did we defeat them there? What did we get their technology? And yes, we have their technology. How did we get their technology? We got their technology a long time ago.
This piece of paper that I've got, it's like the Bible. It talks of the first meeting with the president. Basically, there was 3 meetings with the presidents with 3 different races. Nordics, which are really white, like white hair or blonde hair, and it didn't go quite right with them. They had a discussion and they didn't come to an agreement. So our agreement was ended up being with the Greys. Now is
that the tall Greys or the short Greys?
Well, if you think about it, they're one and the same. I believe the structure is the taller ones. The taller you are, the more in charge you are.
Because
the smaller you are.
The woman that I had on my show that spoke to the aliens, these were taller Greys. They hate the short Greys. Their whole existence is to take them out. They said they don't care. They just don't like them, and they wouldn't give me a straight answer on why they don't like them, but they wouldn't. But I've read a lot of stories that we have made deals with the Greys.
Yes, and the deal was they would give us technology for taking a list of people that was named and given to the government, taken to their ship, prodded a little bit, but not, anything severe, brought back to Earth, memory wipes of what had gone on, and then that would have been it. But then it proceeded, more people were getting abducted, more people were getting missing, and people were spotting it, and so it was a case of we supposedly had told them to stop doing that, and that's where the kind of fight is started, because they continue to this day supposedly to persist and do what they want.
So do you think that's still going on today? Do they need to keep probing us? Do they need to keep experimenting with us? Are we changing? And that's maybe why they're still doing it. Are there people out there that are a hybrid of this? So I have a book on the species, the almanac of all the alien species. So I have a book.
Oh yes. I think I've got the same book. There's absolutely loads of information about it. And you've had the Canadian Paul. I can't remember his second name. He just died last year as well. The Canadian defense minister who come out and stated, and he actually the details that were given actually correlate with other information that's been given from different places as well. And it must be definitely something, because there is so many places in the world that was not contact with anyone else, and yet they have the spiritual for this, that, and the other, or they have pictures, or I've seen a grey, and then you go over to the other side of the world. Yeah, I know what a grey is. Well, you should. Well, why do you know what grey is? Something must be there in between for you two to actually have the same answers.
Right, exactly. And that's what's interesting about all of this is there's so many people that do have the same answers that have never met each other. They don't even know who each other are. Yeah. The technology that they had maybe to not even, they might not have had a cell phone or computer access or anything, but they had the same information that somebody else did.
Yeah, and abductees, there's those who investigate, there's actually certain questions that they ask to know if they're actually, faking it or not, because there are certain things which is not out in the mainstream, but you could find it if you put your head into it. In fact, and then you've got to consider stuff like radiation. How come someone go down the road, stop, get out of the car, see this object, miss time for about an hour, and then find themselves back in the car? Then the next day they've got blotches of radiation. You know what I mean? It's like when you were talking about Dolce, Phil, I can't remember his name, it will come to me, but there is a guy who was who did holes for the US government, basically, to connect, bases to bases and stuff like that, secret stuff. And he had actually supposed to have hit Dolce base. And there was an issue up front, so they brought back the machine. He walked in there was a big hole. He went down there with a soldier. He'd got out of the cage, and this other soldier did, and they'd seen 3 tall greys walk up to him. So the soldier automatically shot at it because obviously he was scared, he didn't know what it was. Right. So he shot at it. Apparently, this guy had said, and he had the evidence as there was 3 fingers taken off, and he had a hole in his chest because it had shot a blue laser at him. So as he went down, more troops were coming down. I think it worked out about 95 troops, CIA, government people went down there. When they got down there and tried to fight him back, there was one of the soldiers put him on the lift to put him up, to take him up, and supposedly he was the last one and the only one who survived. But I have tried. I want to try and get more evidence for it, because if there was 95 soldiers and people who went down there, where are they today? If they died, exactly. How did they all die at the same time? Try and group together to say, well, I've got the names of these, or a few names of these soldiers or department people, and he died at the same time as he died. Oh, he wasn't supposed to be somewhere else, and he died at the same time, and get out, correlate it all together and stuff. And then you've got stuff like element 115. You know what element 115 is?
No, what is that?
It's actually supposed to be we can't create it on this planet, but it's only just come on the table. I think it was 2016 it got put on the table, and it's actually Bob Lazar. He talks about it when he come out about this element, and people weren't believing him or anything like that. But then this guy who done the tunnels, he actually had samples of it. He actually, when he did his shows, which he only did a couple of shows, because in '94 he was actually killed. Killed. Where he was actually, but he was definitely. I put it down to definite murder. His missus has already written defamation on it, saying he was in, he was all right. There was nothing wrong with him, even though he had elements wrong with him because of the radiation and stuff, because of the situation of what went on. He was when the coroner, a couple of days afterwards, when the coroner went back to him, he had a piano wire around his neck, like tube around his neck. Now, even if you put it around once, it's going to be hard to go again. I mean, it was properly tied in there, and they couldn't find it until a couple of days later. There's a bit, there's a lot of cover, kind of cover-ups, and there's a thing as well. If a copper goes into a room, sees someone's suicide, and see a tie or something, or a belt or something tied onto the handle, the door handle, that's a warning to them that it was done by their department, basically. So you have to put it as suicide. and there's quite a lot of them that happen. Quite a lot.
Something like that too with the piano wire. If you're going to kill yourself, your natural body instinct is to survive. I don't care what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do that, sleeping pills or something like that, that's different, or a gunshot. Yeah. But for you to actually try to choke yourself,
that
your body
and
mind
so
is
big.
not going to. Yeah, it's not going to let it happen. Your will to breathe is going to make you stop doing that. So that's exactly probably what happened with him. Where he did not try to kill himself.
No. And there was a weird one about a guy from America who went over to Poland to a friend of his because he found some evidence, and he was going to go to a UFO place and, like, you know, give all this information out. He had he was all right. He was happy, well, and all that. He rang his mum and said, like, look, I'm going to drop this bombshell tomorrow. I'm not suicidal. I'm happy. You know, everything's great. Everything's great. I'll see you next week. So the woman's house who he lived in, she went upstairs to bed, and he was slept on the couch. When she come back down in the morning, he was found with black oil in his gut, in his gullet, all over his mouth, and he put that down to suicide. So really, suicide?
No.
Yeah,
no.
Exactly. There's no possible way.
But see, and that's the problem, though. People tell people they're going to be doing this stuff. I'm getting ready to drop this tomorrow. If you're going to do it, just do it. Don't tell nobody. Don't say a word to anybody. Get it out. Just go.
Yeah, true. But then you've got to consider information's key. And if even if you didn't say anything, there's a possibility that they do find out and they do it anyway. At least you can throw it into the conspiracy theories or conspiracy facts, because I kind of hate it when people say conspiracy theories, when if they look into it a little bit more, you'll actually find, actually, it's not a theory no more. It's an actual fact. There's a lot of facts out there. It's just a case that everything's put under as a theory.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's not a theory.
No. There's a lot more facts than people don't realise that you can actually get hold of if you really put your head into it and that. And there's another thing that I'd have to say to the viewers, if they're looking into this kind of stuff, right, that take a step back every now and again, because your mind can be swamped. I've done it myself. I've nearly gone into like a build up of like, right, what am I going to do? I don't trust no one. I don't trust this. I don't trust the government. I'm going to, if they do this, I'm going to, you know what I mean? You go kind of a bit mental in it, because you've dedicated yourself into one aspect. I mean, even at the beginning of the show, of when we started my show, I think 3 months into it, it was like, no, I got to step back. I really got to step back. I've got to step back for about a week or two. I've got all the information I've been finding out and getting together. I've got to try and piece it together, the bits and bobs, put what I don't need to one side, put what I could use for the show and like to spread to other people to get them to do their own work, essentially, because you don't trust unless you actually find it, don't you, really?
Exactly. And it will consume you. It will definitely consume you because, and I find that with myself as well, I want to know so bad because I'm one of those people that I have never seen one.
Yeah.
And I want to, you know, but I believe so much. I mean, I believe since I was a little kid.
And it's not, I suppose it's not just belief either. It's an instinct.
Exactly.
It was like a couple of, just before the pandemic, I was talking to my co-host and I was like, something's going wrong. Something's about to happen. And I was talking to a few people and it's like, do you get that feeling that, like, you know, there's something literally just down the road and it's going to pop up at any minute and go bam, you know, surprise. And just normal people I know as well who aren't really into this kind of stuff. And they were like, yeah, I get this instinct that, it's just, there's just something not right. And then the pandemic come. And then, but that pandemic is slightly, I would say, a look in that direction instead of looking in the other direction, because the information I've been gathering about now, the Illuminati and stuff like this, that you got groups like the Alliance, the QAnon trying to do stuff, but then you've got other private people going like, well, I've got bits of information in this, bits of information in this, I'm trying to get it out, that there's information that they pushed things 12 years forward to what it's supposed to be. So they've been planning a little road for society, and especially the Western, I'd say, especially the West. They've been planning our little road. Like, we're telling this, we're getting busy. Why are we always busy now? Technology is supposed to make things easier, but we're busier more than ever, if it's not to just catch up with information. And then all they have to do is turn the information off, turn it all off, and we're in the dark, and the only information is the communication between us, and yet they've got the more information and keep gathering the information, so we're going to be left behind. So if they keep us busy, then we can't look into this, that, and the other, or like they were saying, like I'm kind of a Trump fan, not on the case of like I didn't really want to know about him at first before he became president, but the things of he's brought forward, or like helped. But then if you go back to like the way Biden is, and the groups back then, and all the presidents beforehand, near enough, at least for the last 20 years, we all know they've been lying to us. They all know they've been doing stuff behind the back. But the question is, what have they been doing behind there?
Well, and how much did they really know? Because from what I'm understanding, that these secret government agencies and everything else, every president that's gone into the White House has told, for the past few that we've had, has said, hey, I'm going to get all the information on UFOs and all that stuff. And then they get into office, and the powers to be that are in charge of all that said, you're only here temporary. You're only here. The most you're going to be here is 8 years. So you really don't have the need to know this.
This is
and
classified.
That really hit me, because I'm like, wow, that makes sense.
It calculates that 33% of presidents have seen UFOs.
Exactly.
And
I think
more
that
than
is one. And I think that's one. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think that's one of the reasons that Trump created that Space Force, the new branch of the military. Was because he knew he couldn't get any answers any other way. So let me create a new military branch that is strictly for this.
And that's where I think he went to North Korea as well, and talked to North Korea, because North Korea is sort of a dark place, object in over there that we don't really deal with. Now, they could have been dealing with UFOs and stuff, because I've got a feeling that if I was an agent, if I was a government and I was hiding something as big as this, I'd be using North Korea as my department to go, right, well, we do all our experiments here. We've got the people that they torture and abuse all the time. Why not? We might as well give him a few quid, you know what I mean? He's going to be like, yeah, all right, then, sweet, keep lights on for a couple more years.
Yep, exactly.
And I could see some like CIA and stuff like that, people like that doing that, to be honest.
I do too. So have you ever seen a UFO?
I saw a UFO, well, in 1997 when I was down in London. Me and my brother was walking down a street, and it absolutely, even to this day, I'm mesmerised over it. We walked down the road, 2 doors down, we looked up the street, and literally it was like Jupiter was there. It was massive. It was absolutely huge, enormous. And I haven't found anyone who's seen it yet. In 1997, it was like, what's that? So we were there for like have you been drugged up or something? Are you okay? Yeah. Can you see that? Yeah, I can see that. Right. And it was before the phones. So literally we was 2 doors down. So it was like, right, let's go and get a camera, come back out, take a photo of it. We've got evidence there, which we should have. One of us should have stayed. The other one should have gone and got the camera. Realistically,
but you both left.
It. Yeah, we both left because we was both like, wow, right, let's go quick. Let's go and do it. And then last year, me and my co-host, a couple of mates, went camping in Wales, and I'm a bit of a night owl. So, well, they were all sleeping. I was like, yeah, I'll have a look. Perfect timing. Like, no light pollution. Let's have a look at the stars, you know, see if we can see something. So I've got like a little red infrared dot sight. So I thought, like, because Stephen Greer uses a thing like that to communicate with UFOs. I'll talk about Stephen Greer in a moment.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up because I want to talk about him too, because I have my own opinions and theories on him. So,
right, okay, yeah, wicked. So I basically was looking around. I thought I brew a tea. Then I looked up and I'm looking at one and I'm thinking, is that moving? And so I'm focusing on this one, which I think is a star. And then all of a sudden, it just went bam, 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 disappear. And then it appeared about 5 inches over the other side. And then it did exactly the same thing and come back. So I'm tapping my mate's tent going like, right, I've got proof here. Come here. He's not like, come and have a look. And he's like, oh, I've just got in this sack. I can't be bothered to get out. I believe you. I'll see you in the morning. So I was like, all right. So I actually got my little red pen and I'm pointing it up there and I'm flicking at it. I thought, I could get a signal. I could not, you know what I mean? But it's worth a try. It's worth a try. But that's how when it started moving again, and then it just bam, bam, and then disappeared. And it was like, well, that's like, I mean, I even got straight back into my tent after a couple of hours more of looking around, got in the tent and I videoed myself and I'm like, whoa, I just cannot believe what I've just seen.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah. It's like, but realistically, it's so easy to spot them. To actually see one. And the reason why is because there was a man in Florida who, there was a lot of stuff going on in Florida in the 90s at Gulf Breeze. There was basically a UFO every day spotted there and dropping stuff and then bringing stuff back up. Yes. And I always wanted to go there. I always wanted to go there to see it myself and go, yeah, I can see what you're talking about. You know what I mean? But it was a case of some guy decided, right, I've got a beach house. I'm going to set a camera up to the sky, looking at my beach house a bit, but seeing quite a bit of the sky. Just have it filming all throughout the day, and let me see if it's true. And he caught loads after loads after loads, and he was just too fast to just whip, and it's like, and there must be something there, because how can you move? How can a human move at a 90-degree turn and speed off at like Mach 5, Mach 15 within seconds? Our bodies can't take that kind of stuff.
Right.
We really can't. I mean, I think I'm without a suit. I think our maximum is Mach 4. With a suit, it could be. I think it's a little bit higher than that.
But there is an Air Force base over there, and
yes.
If we've traded technology, we may have the technology. We may just be testing out there. My mother-in-law lives out there, so my wife and I went out vacation there, and I had no clue about that place. She's the one that gave me that book.
Right,
and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, it was immense.
Really?
I read that was like one of my number one places I wanted to go in the world, just so I would have the proof on my own eyes to say, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's like the thing of bases around the world. I mean, there's one supposed to be near California, just outside in the water. There's like they've spotted something there that looks like possibly could be an entrance to a base or something.
If on Google Maps.
Yes.
Yes, I know. I've got a picture of that. I've seen it too.
Yeah. Now,
there's also one in the Antarctic.
Yes.
So
yes, I think there's a few more than one in the Antarctic.
I think we're kind of looking at the same stuff. So
yeah. But I'd always thought that, you know, if I become a millionaire tomorrow, like, yeah, I'd charter a boat, because why hasn't anyone, or even like universities or a science grant, you know what I mean, to just go, well, what is that object then? Is it can't be just a bunch of rocks like just formed perfectly.
Not the way that's formed.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. And you've got loads of places around the world that it just doesn't fit to the so-called living of our species. I mean, they say it's the fifth age of man.
Right.
So I've got the kind of suspicion, or I'm kind of believing that it's kind of society's grown. We got to a certain point, maybe technically advanced too much, and we destroyed ourselves. Right, next one comes up, destroyed ourselves, and we're playing around with stuff we really don't understand, and we're not careful enough to.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
And since the 1900s, we have gone sky's the limit. Nothing's. I mean, before that, we were still in horse and cart, going like, you know, making our own bread.
Yep, exactly.
But now it's like it's only been 120 odd years, 22 years that it's gone like, boom, there you go.
That quick.
Yep. Yeah. And you got to consider stories from the past as well. Like newspapers, what was it called? The Texas Mirror or something, in 1897. And the first Men in Black, which was, I think, 1896, where someone had seen a UFO, started reporting it to his sheriff. Then two men walked into his store, told him, shut up. He was like, no, what are you on about? You can't do anything, get out. Next day, the building was up in flames with him in it. And he was like, okay, well, it's a bit weird.
Yep.
It's a bit not, there's something not right there.
Yep, exactly.
And then you pictures and stuff in the past where you've got, like, there's supposed to have been a big war over Europe, a big fight of UFOs, because it was pictured, it was put in a famous picture. And there's little stories around it about it as well. So if you look at things in the past to now, the present, there are quite a lot of stuff that join together.
Right, there's correlation with a lot of history.
Yeah,
even if you look at the hieroglyphics.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, people have been putting UFOs and aliens in different artwork and everything. I mean, way earlier than we would ever even imagine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
So, all right. So,
Stephen Gray.
Yes. Okay. So,
what do you know?
What is your opinion on Stephen Greer?
Me, I actually think he's one of them on the forefront, but in a different direction, because a lot of them are like, we're looking at the government, we're looking at, you know, evidence here and there. Well, he didn't want that. From his story, he was an ER doctor. President Kennedy, President
Reagan.
No, what's his 90s? Zelensky.
Carter.
He went with that girl.
Clinton.
That's the fella. Yeah, you knew straight away, so I said that.
Yep.
President Clinton apparently had asked him in with his CIA advisor for some reason, because his father, Stephen Gray's father, had worked in Area 51 and projects and kind of stuff like that. So he wasn't interested in it, but he knew the family with connection to it, kind of
I
thing.
didn't know his father worked in that.
Yeah, he was. His father was some kind of big scientist at the time, and that's how he got the connection. Okay. So he's been invited to the president's office with his CIA director. So they sat in there, and apparently he'd turned around and said, "Right, we've got a load of files here. There's truth and there's lies in here. We're giving it to you to actually go out there and find out, because we can't. Because if they do it, then, you know, a Kennedy could happen. There could be all sorts of repercussions for his family. Don't forget, his missus is in on politics as well, and stuff like that, and friends and family, powerful friends and family that are around there, and that, because Hillary Clinton, she said as well, she really wanted to look into it, and so did John Podesta as well, the campaign manager. He was really looking into it. But if they've got the power, they surely have got some kind of evidence there.
Exactly.
They surely know what's going on. If it isn't UFOs, then what is it? Is it the TR3Bs, which are the triangles sources that people see, which they reckon there's stories coming out about how a couple of senators and a couple of, high-profile people were abducted, but it works out that it might have been a fake abduction from other agencies, like the CIA had gone out like, yeah, well, he thinks this, that, and the other. Right, let's show him, let's scare him off,
so he won't talk.
Yeah, and the TR3B thing comes up because there is actual evidence of the US government trying to make sources and stuff like that. And
well, they were doing that. Hitler was doing that.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And the Glocken as well.
Exactly.
The bell. Yeah. Which I think it was Virginia, 1974. He was supposed to have landed in America. But it was also supposed to, when he left, there was a mirror on top which told you that what the future could be. But there was also one of his men and his wife actually are supposed to have escaped in it to get it away. And then this is where the time thing could work into that they left there and then was found in 1974.
Right.
The military were there straight away. As soon as it landed, bang. Well, it didn't even land, it crashed. Bang, they took it away. No. And then burn the place and stuff like that because of radiation. I mean, there's loads of evidence of radiation on spots of places. And like, I remember a guy who stood in a field and a UFO landed in front of him. 2 balls dropped to the floor and had like spikes on them, and he was chasing him. He actually got ripped clothes, and the way the clothes were ripped, it was weird. It was really weird. But then I found other like little bits of information, like they need water. They need water for some reason, because there's quite a lot of instances where they've been spotted just going over rivers and just putting pipes down, collecting water, and then going off. So there's a definite need for water for their either propulsion or for their living experience, I suppose.
Or both.
Yeah. So Mr. Gear went he got given all this information and was told, we can't look into it because it's too dangerous for us. We think you've got the ability to go out and actually look into it. He went out and he started the disclosure site.
Yep.
Try to find information, bringing information now, and now he does the what's it, CE5?
CE5.
Yeah, where he actually goes out. Yeah, explain how.
So that's where I have an issue. Okay.
Right.
So I've watched everything on Stephen Greer, and I thought the first few things that he's did, the Disclosure Project and everything else, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
So then he started this CE5. So I looked into this, and he has an app to go with this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it's a $10 app. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, you got paid.
Yeah, we're going to get paid. We're going to do. You know, I'm doing this show right now. I'm not making a lot of money on it, but eventually I want to make money doing this show. Same with you.
Yeah. We don't make anything, I don't think.
Yeah, but the issue I have, okay, because now I get emails from him.
Yeah.
And you can pay $3,000 to go listen to him speak, and then go out in the desert and do the CE5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, $3,000. Okay, if you're really wanting everybody to experience this, and you're really trying to bring this out, do we need to gouge everybody for $3,000? The average person, you or me, are not going to be able to go do that.
No.
So who's doing this? Demi Lovato. We're getting celebrities to do this now.
Yes.
So, and that's where I'm having the issue with Stephen Greer, because originally I think his intent and everything was really good, but now I think his intent is, how much money can I make off of this now?
Yeah. You know, there's quite a lot of people who get turned as they come to the brink of, you know what, you could actually hit some really good answers here and actually give the public what they need.
Exactly. And that's my thing. Okay. And like I said, I understand he needs to make some money doing this.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to exclude the people like you and me that can't afford $3,000 to go to Nevada and sit in the desert, with Stephen Greer.
Yeah.
I paid the $10 app, and all that app was telling me how to do this and to find local people in my area.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. So that's great.
It's basically a sit-in, really, isn't it? The way I've seen it. And you can really get quite a lot of that information on how to do it by just looking on YouTube. There's things on YouTube, and you don't have to pay the $3,000. It's like, sweet, all right, I'll try it and see.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm going to do. I live in Tennessee, so where I have a farm, and we live out in the country.
Yeah.
And so the night sky is just full of stars. I mean, you can see for miles. There's no pollution, nothing. So
magnificent.
Eventually that's what I'm going to do, is I want to gather a group and do that here. But I'm not going to charge.
You haven't seen a UFO yet?
I have not, and that's the problem.
See, you'll have to get a camera out there or something, just constantly to see.
I know. I have a laser pointer. I have everything. So I want to set up, and I just really have not had the time to do that yet. So
yeah. Well, this is the 21st century. Busy. Keep you busy. Keep you away from all the stuff that they don't want you to know about.
Exactly. And and that's my opinion on Stephen Greer. Like I said, I really, really had a lot of faith in him at the beginning, and followed a lot of his work.
What he done. Yeah.
And now
he's even done documentaries, hasn't he? He's even brought out a couple of documentaries, which I've watched them all. Even those who just gotten into looking into UFOs and that, it's a good set off to, get people into why we kind of do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I watched the old documentary on the CE5 as well, and I thought that was great. I thought it was fantastic, and I was really intrigued. And then, like I said, the more I started looking into it, and now I'm getting emails, for $500 and $3,000 and this and that, and I'm like, whoa, slow down, dude.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to know, and I want to see these things, so I'm going to look at other alternatives.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And that's the case of you just explained how he was doing the right thing kind of thing, but then money gets into the situation, and it's it turns a lot of people off, and you can find out the rest of that kind of information without paying that money. But then,
it starts to question his credibility, which makes you look at the other shows that he did and went, okay.
Yeah, is it really right, or was he just building us up to go pop there, bang, give us money and I'll give you this?
And that's what makes it hard for people like you and me and your co-host.
Yeah,
when we're doing shows like this, because people are like, oh yeah, that guy, Stephen Greer, I saw he wanted $3,000 for this, and now you're telling me this and that. Why am I supposed to believe you? Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's
So
the thing is, I want people to believe. I want them
people
to
to
tell
go
their
out
stories.
and do their own investigation. I mean,
Exactly.
it's not that it's not the kind. It's hard sometimes, but it's not as well. I mean, you can just get a little piece of information and just well, like they say, follow the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
kind of follow the money, follow the government, follow the
Yep.
follow the agency. See how far you can get. See what connects to that afterwards, or maybe years beforehand, if there was an incident beforehand, or a little glimmer that someone turned out and went, look, they're doing this, and then
Yep.
it's like he's shut up. You haven't heard him for years, and then some little paperwork comes out of the government with like or blank bar his name, and it's like, well, you must have some kind of connection. Then his name's on that document, and it's like governmental, and they're hiding it.
Right. Yeah. And I think there's a lot more people out there that are believers now. A lot more people that want to know the answers now.
Well, it works out in America. It was 1/3 of Americans started believing it from 2020. Was it 2000? It was starting to look more, but now it's turning out to be nearly 2/3.
And
that's
I think
great.
we can. Yeah, I think so too. And I think we can handle the answers now. With the way we know about technology and everything else, I think we can handle the answers.
But I can
see a lot of the questions.
I can see a reason why certain technologies that could advance us has not been brought out.
Oh, like I can too.
Like batteries and stuff like this. Like there was a guy in, I think it was Russia, in fact, and he developed this item that it's like a battery. It would power all his stuff in his house for 3 years. So I thought, I'll patent it. Sweet, excellent. So he got a government agent to come round, knocking on his door, and he goes like, well, can we make this and all this? So he's like, right, come down to the cafe down at the bottom in half hour, and we'll discuss it, and I'll make you a billionaire, you know what I mean? So I was like, right, sweet. So he lived with his sister. He told his sister, I'm just going out for a meeting and I'll be back in like a half hour. So he disappears. When he disappears, about 20 minutes later, knock on the door. 2 soldiers had knocked on the door, asking for him. So I was like, well, he's just gone down there. So if you want to meet him, right, go down there. So when she shut the door, she'd gone on, carried on what she was doing. So then she's like, where's my brother? He's like, it's been like 2 hours now. What's he doing? So she come out of the yard and went looking for him. He's not at the place where he was supposed to be. So she was getting a bit worried. So she got back home. Oh, the electric's off. What's going on here? Someone had gone in, taken the device, but then a day later found his dead body in the pool right next there, in the river right next to where it was. And it was like,
wow,
naughty. There's definitely something wrong there. You know what I mean? It's like, the thing that gets me is there's so many murders. There's so many different murders that have been put as suicidal, and it's totally blatant that it is a murder. It is no way suicidal.
Right.
And it no way you can go beyond the agencies that who's supposed to look after us, deal with it. They either come up with a blank, or it's one of them things, isn't it?
Well, and that's because all those murders, if you look at them all, they all link to the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's
questions which, if there was more out there, that the information that, well, he was looking into this and then he died mysteriously, and it come into the mainstream like every time it had happened. I think a long time ago, more and more people would have gone, hold on, what's going on here? There's something going on here that like, it's not straight, and why aren't the governments looking into all these, like 10 murders in a week, and like all strange and all weird, and like they're saying, oh well, it's just one of them things, or there's a big suicide thing going off at the moment,
Right.
and it is a dangerous thing as well, because if we come across something that, I mean, like today, if we say certain things that actually they think is dangerous for them, and we might not even know what we've got that is dangerous for them. Yeah, right. You know, like we could be going missing for all we know. I'm not suicidal, by the way. I never did. So if I'm not found dead,
so if one of us comes up missing, okay,
look at the government or somewhere around that. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's proper. Yeah, I want to live to find the answers out.
Well, Lee, I've really enjoyed having you on the show. Would you consider coming back on again?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, anytime. Yeah,
and talk to your co-host too. I would love to have both of you guys on at the same time. That'd be great.
Yeah. He'd love to come on. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll schedule that out. We'll meet again after this, and we'll get a schedule and have you back on, because I know there's a lot more that we could talk about. We could have probably kept going.
A little bit of the surface there. Yeah. I could talk about all night. But like you said,
tell everybody where they can find Never a Straight Answer.
You can find it everywhere. We're on every single platform: YouTube, Anchor, iTunes, Art Radio, and literally everywhere.
You have a YouTube channel too, I saw. So they can go there, subscribe. Plus, you have a website, is neverstraightanswer.co.uk.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Yeah, and if you go on there, there's loads of stuff in there. There's little reports, there's even little bios of like what we talked about the show. You can leave your comments, you can leave your suggestions, or even if you want to have a conversation with us like we're doing here today, give us an email, and we're glad to talk to anyone who wants to talk.
That's awesome. So what I'll do is at the end of this, on my YouTube channel, we'll put your link tree there as well, so they can go and hit all your links. Great. And we'll do that on the audio as well. So
beautiful.
Again, I want to thank Lee for being on the show today. I really thoroughly enjoyed
you for inviting me on there as well.
Not a problem. I thoroughly enjoyed having you on here, and like I said, I would love to have you again, because I know we just barely touched the tip of some of this stuff. So so it's going to be great. So all right. Problem. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody watching the Ed Sullivan Experience. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. What's that?
Keep plugged in. Keep listening, because we'll be back with more on this show.
Exactly. Definitely. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And same with our audio podcast. You can get that on every streaming audio place podcast that you get them. So, all right. Again, thank you, Lee. You have a great evening, and we will see you later.
See you later, fella. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.